Hello everyone, this is Michael Madden again from Remax Unlimited Real Estate in Whitehall, Pennsylvania. I'm here with David Gritz, a good friend of mine. We did a couple events together, and he has an upcoming event called the Sharing Summit. And it's such a great opportunity for a lot of business owners to really get some exposure to some of the new business concepts that are really kind of taking over, our economy. So if you want to kind of just start off and give people a broader description of what sharing economy is, that'd be a great place to start.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Michael. So I'm going to start from the broadest level. The sharing economy is really about the future. If you think about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going, the sharing economy is where we're going. And to add a little context, if you think about it, the evolution between the 90s and today has been about information and getting everything from where we are to the internet. And that's what created all the new opportunities, the Facebooks, the Googles, and the new businesses that have occurred over the last 20 years. But we firmly believe that the next revolution is going to come from a specialized economic model called the sharing economy, or the sharing revolution. And the idea behind the sharing economy is there's tons of assets that exist in the universe, whether it's a house, it's a car, it's the video cameras that are filming us right now. And most of the time, those sit dormant. They're not being used. Actually, cars are parked over 90% of the time that they're actively available in the day. And that's an opportunity. Just like if you go on vacation, your house is now available that you can rent to someone else going on vacation to where you're at. And the sharing economy is about taking those resources that are not being used and allowing people to capitalize on them. And it creates a tremendous amount of opportunities, not just with physical resources, but also with people's time and availability. So for example, one of the new platforms you may have never heard of came about is called Dogvacay. So if you're going on vacation, you need someone to watch your dog, there's a network of people, individuals, that will watch your dog. So instead of having to go to a kennel or some kind of professional organization, you can have a dog lover either come to your house or you bring your dogs to their house and they'll take care of them. So these models go into all kinds of different service areas and allow people to have gigs that supplement their traditional income and find new opportunities to expand where they're personally generating income, and the economy as a whole is creating new opportunities for people.
Wow, you make me sound uneducated. No, that was really good.
Thanks, Michael.
One of the things that really impresses me about you is your ability to network. You're kind of a low-key guy, if you were in a room, you wouldn't be the one that's out there boisterous like myself, going out there trying to meet everybody, but you're very strategic in the way you think. And to prove the point, we were at a digital footprint event down in Philadelphia, and it was a bunch of internet marketers and things like that, and they had one of the presenters there was Jeff Hoffman, who was the founder or one of the co-founders of Priceline.com. And David, through his efforts, have him coming to this event that we're going to be doing on Friday up at Lehigh University. If you can kind of speak to the audience about your brazen, I don't know what to say other than you just go out there and make it happen. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs get limited by their beliefs of they're not worthy enough to even ask somebody like that to come speak at one of their events.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So I'm going to talk through 3 different perspectives that help me to view networking different than other people. So the first core perspective about networking is that it has to be targeted. There's a lot of people that I know that go to chamber events or go to your traditional networking events like BNI, or even some of the networking events that Michael holds, which are terrific. But for you to just show up at a networking event and expect good things to happen, you're definitely missing the point. The goal of networking is to accomplish a specific action or follow-up. So you need to be targeted in your networking. In order to be targeted, you need to know who's going, who you want to meet, and what you want to accomplish, and how can you serve them. If you can figure out those 4 things, when you show up at a networking event, you'll know exactly the person that you want to meet, how you can help them out, and you'll be targeted. So instead of talking to anyone or random people in the group, you're only going to be talking to people that forward your business or you can forward their business. And if you're focused and targeted, you're going to be much more effective at every networking event. The second core concept is going outside of your circles and spheres of influence. So it's really easy if you're on the board of a charity organization, or if you have a weekly group or social group or networking group that you go to continue to keep going to those, because it's comfortable and it's easy, and you get to meet the people that are natural extensions to people that you already know. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be an excellent or an expert networker, you need to go outside of your circles. Because if you think about it, if you stay within your circles, you're not maximizing the total capacity or accessibility of your network. If you're in one circle, right, let's just say your charity circle, it doesn't make sense for you to spend all of your time to exhaustively know and meet everyone in that charity circle. Because if you know one person there and they know all the other people, then that satisfies accessibility to that network of all of those people. So if you were to spend the time and try and meet all of those people, it's not the most effective time, versus if you joined another separate board that's completely unrelated and has no overlap. And this doesn't just apply within your local community, this applies on a regional, a national, and a global level. So if you want to be an expert networker and you want to expand your career and your level of professionalism, you should find what are the networks that have the best people in the world at your specific discipline and your specific career. So for example, I'm going out to a conference in Las Vegas next week called the InsurTech Conference. And that conference has the very best people in the world that are disrupting the insurance world, which is related to one of the startup companies that I have called Zero, which is essentially disrupting how insurance is offered to people and how people manage their risk for all of their employees. But I know that the best people in the world, literally coming from all over the world, will be at that event, so I'm going to be at that event. So think beyond where you're at and make sure that the circles that you're networking with overlap as little as possible. The last core principle is really about passion, focus, and limiting the fear. It's really easy to get tied up in the fear of networking, whether you're an introverted person and you fear just public speaking, or you fear talking to individual people, or maybe you're more advanced in networking and you're just afraid of going up to the billionaire at the meeting or the person who's the most knowledgeable in your field. First, I have to tell you is you gotta wipe the slate clean. When you go to a networking event, all there are is people there. Every person, whether they have $1 billion or they're the most accomplished in the world, they still have all the same things. They wear clothes, they go to bed at night, they have a family, and all of those things are things that you can relate to them and you can connect with them on. And there's no reason why you should have any fear, because they're no different than other people in your community. So if you can eliminate that fear and go back to my first point about being focused and targeted, you can meet anyone that you want to meet. Putting all those three pieces together, ultimately you can create a framework that makes you the top networker.
Wow. Once again, you know how to break it down in a very educated way where people can actually see the little nuanced distinctions that really make a difference. The other thing, if you, in closing, if you could talk about, one of the challenges I have is really getting business owners to embrace social media and how it's really changing commerce. And, you know, I quite often hear I'm old school. And my response to that is there is no old school or new school. There's just, you know, staying in business and thriving, or you're going out of business. And social media is just taking away their market share, and they don't even realize it's happening. So if you could kind of touch on what your vision is, or how you think about social media as it relates to business.
Yeah, so Michael, that's a great question, and I think a lot of people get caught up in the idea of social media and they say, well, is this working for my business? Or there's always these new things like Pinterest and Snapchat and other platforms that they've never heard of, and it becomes so confusing and so bewildering. How do you even know what to do or where to start? And I think that's an interesting perspective to have the confusion on it, but if you're a business owner, really, there's only one core thing that matters. How do I sustain and run a profitable business that serves myself, my family, and my employees? And if you start from that point, don't get caught up in social media. Don't get caught up in the new platforms. There's only one thing that matters, which is that core statement. And you have to look at social media as a tool. So if social media was a billboard, if social media was radio, if social media was print, if social media was word of mouth, all of those are channels of messaging and distribution and channels of potential sales. And ultimately, just like when radio came out for the first time, it was confusing and difficult for people when TV came out for the first time. But if you stick with the core principles of figuring out how you can make your business sustainable and profitable, then you can investigate what you need to know. And there's two different ways or approaches you can do that. One is the Herculean approach that a lot of business owners take, which is, I want to learn everything and I want to figure it out. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're running a lifestyle business and you want to get involved in the day-to-day operations of your distribution and marketing channels, that's absolutely fine. And there's great resources online where you can learn how to read about every social media. But if you're going to take that approach, you need to think of it as a hypothesis. Will this improve the sustainability and profitability of my business, both in the short run and the long run? And you need to test that hypothesis by running experiments. So one experiment would be, can I test a campaign on Facebook, and will that improve the awareness of my business or how many people come into my door? If it does, great, you validated that hypothesis. This is a new channel of marketing for your business. If it does not work, you have proven that the hypothesis is not true. So you have a chance to either do another experiment or to try a completely different thing. And if you use the scientific method or the scientific approach to apply social media or any new marketing channel to your business, you'll ensure that you're successful if you're doing that approach as an individual. Separately, I said there's another approach you can take, which is the approach of outsourcing or finding other people that know how to do it. There's tons of people, both locally or all over the country, that have figured out how to use these new social media tools, not just to improve profitability in general, but how to do it in your industry. So if you can find other peer businesses or experts that have tested these new channels or these marketing approaches using social media, don't try and do it yourself. Just figure out how to learn from them or just hire them to do the work. And that will make your life so much easier. You're a business owner. You need to focus on the holistic vantage point of the business and not get caught up in the little minutia of social media. So you can either learn it or find someone else who already knows. And if you take that approach and focus on the core principles of sustainability and profitability, it will make everything much simpler.
Wow. Again, wow. That was really good explanation.
Thanks.
You know, one of the things that I'm excited about is really applying the social media skills that I've developed over the years and applying that to real estate marketing. And one of the things that there was an event called the Perfect Blurpee. If you could just touch on that as a bonus treat. One of the things that David had asked me to get involved to kind of help promote the event, they were raising money. They were doing this Kickstarter program. And I wanted to have the business owners that are in the Lehigh Valley Elite Network to kind of get some exposure to some of the new ways that, crowdfunding and the ways businesses are financing things today. So if you could just touch on that event and what you did and how you actually accomplished raising the money you did.
Yeah, definitely. So, Michael, I believe the event that you're talking about was in early 2015. We held an event called the Lehigh Valley Fitness Gala.
Yeah.
And that was actually an event that was modeled off of another event that we held the month before called the Boston Fitness Gala. The Boston Fitness Gala was the largest gala held in Boston for fitness enthusiasts. And ultimately, how that ties into the overall product we launched, which was the Perfect Burpee, is that in order to grow your business or to kickstart anything, whether it's a new product, it's a crowdfunding campaign, or it's a social venture, it's important to get all the people in the room that are interested and excited about what you have to do and create an incredible experience. And that's what we did. In the Lehigh Valley, we held it at the open court, which was the Victory Firehouse located in South Bethlehem, which is literally a basketball court. And we had some really great entertainment there. We had a parkour performance by the Lehigh Valley Parkour Group. We had some speakers that, in addition to me talking about Kickstarter and other crowdfunding campaigns, talked about their experiences. And then we had other people speaking about fitness businesses. And by creating value for your audience, it makes it a lot easier to ask them to participate in your social campaigns or to participate in your crowdfunding and get excited and interested about your product. So that's what we did, and I think that if you're a business owner and you're thinking about how to launch your product, I highly recommend you think about how to use events to improve that.
And in closing, if you could just touch upon the Hatch House and you and Steve getting together and creating that opportunity for all these students that are coming out, that really is the launching point for, who knows, it could be the next Facebook.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So Michael's talking about Hatch House Ventures. It's a business I started with Steve Berner, and ultimately our vision behind that is supporting young entrepreneurs. If you think about the perspectives that young entrepreneurs live in, most of them, they're in college or they're finishing high school and they're in this world of education, and in those education worlds, they have everything that you need. When you're at the university, you have the labs that you need, you have the smartest people all around you, you have access to an incredible labor force, also known as other students, and you have access to mentors and anything you can need to grow your business. But what often happens is when students graduate, they have this great business, it's starting to get hold, and then they lose all the resources because they no longer have access to them because they're not paying for that university experience anymore. And it's that point, the chasm, where a lot of businesses, especially student businesses, don't make it. And on the other end of the spectrum is if you could just get a little bit of traction, you can get support from incubators, accelerators, or funding sources. So Hatch House acts as the bridge to connect entrepreneurs that are students and recent graduates to the resources that are available to high-growth startups. And we help to mentor entrepreneurs, connect them with the resources that they need, and provide that bridge to get them to the next level. And we've found it incredibly effective to people in the Lehigh Valley, in our location in New Jersey, and our location in Delaware. And we hope to expand what we're doing both through physical locations and through software to touch people all across the United States.
Wow, I feel smarter just sitting next to you.
Thanks, Michael.
That was really good. So one last thing about the Sharing Summit, if you could kind of just make the announcement of Sharing Summit so people have a reference point as to what the, follow up on this. I think you said that we're getting close to being booked up in this particular one here, but there's going to be a next event coming up right after that, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So Michael, the Sharing Summit is the largest East Coast summit on the sharing economy. It's going to be held on September 30th, 2016, which is a Friday at Lehigh University at the Iacocca Hall. We're going to have over 15 speakers from all over the country talking about it. We already have over 130 people registered for the event, and we're very close to capacity. So if you're just hearing this now and you want to try and get in, great. Otherwise, we're going to be holding events in the future in the Philadelphia area and around the country to support the sharing economy. And most of this information will all be available on sharingsummit.com, and you can learn more about the current event and future events.
Great. And then if you're interested in attending one of our Lehigh Valley Elite Network events, it's at LehighValleyEliteNetwork.com. And then as far as contacting me for any kind of real estate needs you may have, it's michaelmadden.realtor.com michaelmadden.realtor or www.LehighValleyEliteRealEstate.com. So David, thank you for doing what
Michael.
you do. You inspire a lot of business owners, but also some of these young entrepreneurs that are going to invent the next best big thing that's out there. And it's your attitude and your approach to life that really gives people encouragement. So I appreciate that.
Great, thanks, Michael.
Very good.